Hi guys, welcome to Living Lean and Green with Stacy D. I've already started on tonight's recipe because I wanted to spare you from just watching this meat get brown in the cast iron skillet. Tonight we are making cheater Korean beef, but instead of beef we are actually using some ground venison that was given to us by one of our clients to try. So I have substituted that in, and because it is a game meat, you get more of the protein in the finished dish than you would if it was traditional ground beef, unless you use 98% ground beef, which is really hard for us to find. So I'm anxious to try this. This recipe is adapted from from The Girl Who Ate Everything. It's a recipe that my family and I used a lot prior to being on Optavia, so I was very anxious to reformulate the ingredients to get it to fit into a lean and green. So basically what I have here, I started with 2 pounds of ground venison. I have browned it in 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, which is 3 healthy fats. And then I ended up with just a little bit more than I needed because I'm making 3 servings. So I need 21 ounces of this. So I took all of it out, weighed it, and put the 21 ounces back in. And I probably have just about 3 or 4 ounces left over that we could use for something else. So to this pan, I am then going to add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. And we're gonna let that saute here. I've got this skillet on low. This cast iron conducts a lot of heat, so it doesn't need to be up very high at all for that to cook. And then I have another skillet over here that's preheated that I'm going to stir fry some broccoli florets that we're going to serve the cheater beef over. You can use asparagus if you like, or you can just steam some rice cauliflower and serve it over that instead, just as long as it ends up so that you have enough greens for every person. I'm going to actually put another 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon. This is a half tablespoon measure, so I'm going to fill it up twice. Ooh, I'm running out of sesame oil. Into this pan so I can get the broccoli started. Yep, that's going to be the last of that. Alexa, add sesame oil to the shopping list.
Oil added to your shopping list.
She's my favorite assistant. And then to this pan, I'm going to turn this up to high heat. And we're going to add 4.5 cups of broccoli florets, which is equal to 9 greens, which is what you're going to need to complete this lean and green meal. So I'm going to let that come to some higher heat there before I put that broccoli in. I'm just trying to stop flipping this meat everywhere as I stir it. Okay, and then to this I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of chopped green onions, which divided by 3 people is going to equal about 1/6 of a green. And I don't want them to cook a lot, just to take a little bit of the chill off of them, just so they're still crunchy and add some color and crunch to this dish. And then we're going to make the sauce as soon as I get the broccoli added to this pan. There you go. So we're going to give that a stir and let that cook in here. What I may end up doing, if this takes too long, I might just go ahead and steam it, but at least have that sesame oil flavor. And we're going to let that come up to high. I'm going to try to creep the size of this burner in. Alright, so to the Korean cheater venison in this case, we're going to add we have a 1/4 cup of Bragg's liquid aminos here. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper for some heat. We're going to add some Truvia. The original recipe calls for brown sugar. We're going to add a teaspoon of Truvia. This is going to equal 1 1/3 condiment. The liquid aminos were 4 condiments. The crushed red pepper is, yeah, that's a 1/2 teaspoon mark. I just want to make sure I'm using the right one. The crushed red pepper is also a condiment. And then we're going to also add some grated fresh ginger to the equivalent of about a half a teaspoon. Oh, and the dogs are barking at something. So to get this, I'm using a frozen piece of ginger root that I keep in my freezer in the bag all the time, and my zester, and I'm going to try to get about a half a teaspoon of this freshly grated ginger into the quarter cup of aminos, teaspoon of Optavia, and half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. That's all you need to complete this sauce. And I'm not measuring this, but I can eyeball it pretty well. Half a teaspoon is not a lot, but ginger is very pungent, so it doesn't take much to get a lot of flavor. All right, let's scrape this off the back here. You can use the equivalent of in ground ginger to equivalent a quarter of a condiment if you wish. You'd have to just look that up on the condiment list to see how that would measure out. We'll give this a quick stir, get everything down in there, let that Optavia dissolve down in the aminos. And we're just going to pour this on and give it a quick stir. I'm going to turn the heat off. The heat that's in the pan is going to be enough to cook that sauce into the meat. We want to make sure it all gets coated. Get everything out of there. So I'm going to give it a stir pretty quickly here. Alright, so that pretty much finishes the cheater Korean beef. And this is, like I said, 3 servings. Tons of meat there. Should satisfy the carnivore and all of you. And Asian flavors. I don't know how many of you guys have ever had Korean beef before, but it's really good. And it's kind of a sweet and salty and spicy dish altogether. They call this cheater Korean beef because it uses the ground beef. Regular Korean beef is like a marinated flank steak. But we used to use this all the time, and I've done it with ground chicken, ground turkey, ground pork. This is the first time with venison, so I'm anxious to see how it turns out, but I thought the strong flavors in this sauce would pair well with the venison. So thank you, Dwayne, for giving us an opportunity to try this. Alright, so let's check out the broccoli. It's starting to turn nice and bright green. And to the broccoli, I'm going to add a touch of water to finish steaming it. You need the lid the best can. Just going to finish cooking it. Let that finish cooking. So what we're going to do is divide the broccoli up into, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. We're going to divide the broccoli up in 3 dishes and then top each portion with a third of the meat. So let me grab a plate. So what this is going to look like. As soon as that broccoli is done steaming, which it should not take long at all. Nope. We want it to stay kind of crunchy, but still picked up the seasoning from the sesame oil. So I'm going to kind of put this like this, so I can make sure to get about half of it on the, or a third of it, excuse me, on the plate. And some of you may be asking, well, you started out with 9 greens in your broccoli, but you added some greens in the green onion. Yes, I know, but once this broccoli is cooked down, it does shrink in size. So when you measure, if you were to measure it out, it would equal the 1/3, 1/6 less of the 3 greens that is compensated for with the green onions. So again, we're going to divide this up into thirds and top the broccoli with it. You could, if you wish, save the green onions and use them to top the plate just for some more color, but I think they stay plenty green in the amount of time we cook them when we clean up the rim of this plate so it doesn't look so sloppy. Not not a very clean plating job, but you can see what we end up with here. A nice plate of food. Grab a fork and try a little bit of this together. Perfect. Nice, healthy, lean and green for you to try. For those of you who may not want to try with venison, that's fine. Just going to 98% lean beef or ground chicken or ground turkey, and you'll end up with the same portions. If you use a fattier type of ground beef, you're just going to cut down on the amount of healthy fat. I wouldn't add any to the meat itself, just brown it in a little bit of cooking spray and use the fat to use the stir fry on the veggies, or you could just steam those and use the fat on the meat. But remember, if you choose something that's in the lean category, you're only going to need 3 healthy fats to complete the meal. So you'll just need 3 teaspoons of sesame oil in the whole thing. Hope that makes a lot of sense to you guys. Hope you're willing to give this a try. Thank you for watching.